Katie Pavlich is with us. Her new show, Katie Pavlich Tonight, debuts here on NewsNation Monday at 10 p.m. There she is, 10 p.m. Eastern. We had the promo up. Hello, hello. Does the White House think it's too early, or do you think they're ready now to declare the Venezuela operation, regime change, whatever you want to call it, a success?
I think it's far too early. I mean, it's a success that they were able to go in and get Nicolás Maduro out, and now they can, use him and offer deals, for example, with his Department of Justice prosecution for a return of information about what he knows about the regime, what he knows about Russia and the kind of weapon systems they potentially brought into the country, what he knows about the Iranian drone program that was being set up in Venezuela. So this is a long game of understanding the adversaries that have not just had relationships, as the acting president just said in her speech, but were actively harboring weapon systems from countries that have very adversarial relationships with the United States.
Right. And Delcy Rodriguez now, who basically Trump says is going to do what we tell her to. That's how we're going to, quote unquote, run Venezuela. Today, she said that it was her job to stand up to Washington.
Yeah, she did say.
Sabemos.
We know they are a lethal nuclear power. We have seen their record in the history of humanity. We must stand together as Venezuelans to defend our sovereignty, our independence, our territorial integrity, and also to defend our dignity and our honor.
How do we square that with they're doing what we tell them to?
Well, I think if you look at that room and the number of people applauding, they're obviously pro her and pro the Maduro regime. And the Trump administration is looking at this and saying, okay, that the ground is not quite ready for an election, given that the infrastructure for elections is still very fraudulent and controlled by her and the people in that room. Now, it's one thing for her to say that and to try to be a public face in favor of a strong regime. It's another in terms of what's going on behind the scenes. We don't know what the president is telling her, and they could be making deals behind the scenes about them staying in power so long as they give the United States what they need in terms of information about what Russia and other countries have been doing in Venezuela. Yes, it would be lovely if we could return to a democracy in that country, but that's not the only U.S. interests at stake here. There are larger global implications for Venezuela being a jumping-off point for people who have nuclear weapons and also those who were building drones that were used for surveillance and potentially explosives so close to the United States. Okay,
so the flip side of that is the oil, and that we've now, or the United States now is, depending on how you looked at it, gotten about $500 million in oil from the Maduro regime. Earlier this morning, a Coast Guard tactical team conducted a pre-dawn boarding and seizure of motor tanker Veronica in the Caribbean. This is from Kistinome. As we've now demonstrated through multiple boardings, there is no outrunning or escaping American justice, period. So how long does the U.S. think this is going to go on for?
I don't know what the answer to that question is. I think it'll go on as long as they think that we have an interest there. They want to also use this opportunity to seize these oil tankers to cut off Cuba. I mean, there are a lot of moving parts here, but I think they would like it to end as soon as possible, but they didn't want to go in and get Nicolás Maduro and extract him through that operation just for everything to fall apart and to have even more problems down the road to deal with. So it seems like they're approaching this very strategically in order to get what they want out of it as the U.S. interest, and that there are a lot of moving parts here. But I think they'll just do it as long as it takes. I don't think they're planning on putting a timeline on it. And you've heard from Marco Rubio on that front. You've heard from the president on that front. I think they're willing to stay as long as they possibly need to get to their objectives, which is protecting the United States' interest in the Western Hemisphere.
All right. Katie, thank you very much. Katie's spending the week getting ready for her big show, and huge show Monday night. Katie Pavlich tonight, Monday, 10 p.m. Eastern, right after On Balance Tuesday. Katie has an exclusive primetime interview with President Trump as he heads to Davos in Switzerland. That is on Tuesday, 10 p.m. Great get.
Thanks, Leland. I have a great lead-in, so I'm excited to see you back in Washington.
All right, we'll see you then. Thanks so much, Katie.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.